Hi students, today I will go for the translation basically in the prokaryotes, that is initiation of the translation. This is the part 3 of your lesson. And in this case we have visualized that prokaryotic mRNAs are initially recruited to the small subunit of the RNA. Prokaryotic mRNAs are recruited to the small subunit of the RNA. So here we know there are the three basic sites. One is A site, another is P site, third one is the E site. And the first, the uploading of the amino acid tRNA on the ribosome will be occurred in the P site, that is peptidyl site. So a specialized tRNA charged with a modified methionine binds directly to the prokaryotic small subunit by the mechanism of the initiator tRNA, and here the base pairs with the start codon usually AUG or GUG. We have already mentioned AUG is the methionine. Then the term known as the N-formyl methionine and the charged initiator tRNA is known as the FMET tRNA, IFMET. FMET tRNA, IFMET. I have given you the notes. The N-formyl methionine is the first amino acid to be incorporated into the polypeptide chain, that is P site. And this is not the case. However, as an enzyme known as the deformylase removes the formyl group from the amino terminus during or after the synthesis of the polypeptide chain, and in fact many prokaryotic proteins do not even start with a methionine. Aminopeptidases often remove the amino terminal methionine as well as one or two additional amino acids. So when the particular type of the during the initiation of the translation, when that FMET tRNA, IFMET is incorporated within the P site, then the large subunit will be detached from the smaller subunit. Then comes to the part, there are IF1, IF2, IF3. These are the initiator factors. IF1 prevents the tRNA from binding to the portion of the small subunit which will become part of the A site. IF2 is the GTPase, which is a protein which binds to and hydrolyzes the GTP, and by interacting with these components, IF2 facilitates the subsequent association of the FMET tRNA, IFMET with a small subunit and prevents other charged tRNAs from associating with the small subunit. So it is the functions of the IF1, IF2 and IF3. Next comes to the IF3. It binds to the small subunit and blocks it from reassociating with a large subunit. So as discussed above, the binding to the mRNA, it typically involves the base pairing between the ribosome binding site and the 16S rRNA in the small subunit. Then comes to the part of the translation initiation factors hold the eukaryotic mRNAs in the circles. It is the just for the information. We have already discussed that we have to go through the prokaryotic translation, not the eukaryotes. Then comes to the translational elongation in case of the prokaryotes. And here the amino acid tRNAs are delivered to the A site by the elongation factor EFTU. There are two types of elongation factor. One is EFTU, another is EFTS. So the EFTU, this factor, once the tRNA is amino acylated, this EFTU binds to the tRNAs at the 3' end, it masking the coupled amino acid, and this interaction prevents the bound amino acid tRNA from participating in peptide bond formation until it is released from the EFTU. So once a particular subunit is released, then it will be bind to the another one, not consequently. Next comes to the part that the EFTU binds and hydrolyzes GTP during the initiation phase, and the type of the guanine nucleotide bound governs its function. This triggered the activities of the EFTU GTPase, which is the same domain on the large subunit of the ribosome that activates the IF2 GTPase when the large subunit joins the initiation complex. It's a factor binding center. I have given you the notes from where you can easily understand the mechanism by seeing the diagram. Then comes to the EF2 escorts amino acid tRNA to the A site of the ribosome. First of all, the amino acid tRNA will be bound to the P site, that is peptidyl binding site, and from there it will be moved to the A site, that is amino acid tRNA site, and from that of the A site it will also go to the exit site, that is E site. It is the basic cycle. So the translation elongation cycle. Translation, first of all, the initiation have been made, then the elongation. And during the elongation, what happened? First of all, the amino acid tRNA will be bound to the P side, then it will go to the A side, that is amino acid side, and then from the amino acid side it will further enter within the E side for the exit. So it is known as the accommodation. I will discuss that the mechanism which helps to ensure the correct codon-anticodon pairing involves the GTPase activity of the EFTU. So the release of the EFTU from the tRNA requires the GTP hydrolysis, which is highly sensitive to correct codon-anticodon base pairing. Even a single mismatch in the codon-anticodon base pairing leads to a dramatic reduction in the EFTU GTPase activity. So the third mechanism, it ensures the pairing accuracy in the form of the proofreading, which occurs after EFTU is released. So when the EFTU, that is elongation factor TU, is released, then the proofreading activity is initiated. When the charged tRNA is first introduced into the A site in the complex with EFTU GTP, its 3' end is distant from the site of the peptide bond formation. Two participate successful in the peptidyl transferase reaction. tRNA must rotate into the peptidyl transferase center of the large ribosomal subunit, which is known as the accommodation. Important. So in addition to the codon-anticodon interactions, the ribosome exploits minor groove interactions and two phases of the proofreading to ensure that a correct amino acid tRNA binds to the A site. Then a ribosome is known as it is a ribozyme. It's an enzyme. So once the correctly charged tRNA has been placed in the A site and has rotated into the peptidyl transferase center, then the peptide bond formation takes place, and this reaction is catalyzed by the RNA known as the ribozyme. So the peptidyl transferase is entirely composed of the RNA, which has come from the high resolution 3D structure of the ribosome reveals that no amino acid is located closer to the 18 angstrom from the active site. Then comes to the part of the peptide bond formation and the elongation factor EFG drive the translocation of the tRNA and the mRNA. What do you know by translocation is important. So once the peptidyl transferase reaction has occurred, the tRNA in the P site is deacetylated, which is no longer attached to the amino acid, and the growing polypeptide chain is linked to the tRNA in the A site. For a new round of the peptide chain elongation to occur, the P site tRNA then must move to the E site, and the A site tRNA must move to the P site. So after the movement of the amino acid tRNA from the A site to P site to E site, each of the site has been opened up. So what happened? It is exposed to the next codon, and these movements are coordinated within the ribosome and are collectively known as the translocation. So the composition of the translocation requires the action of a second elongation factor, which is known as the EFG, and it can only bind to the ribosome when associated with the GTP. This EFG drives the translocation by displacing the tRNA bound to the A site, which you can understand from the particular figure, where EFG stimulation translocation requires the GTP hydrolysis. It's an ATP mediated process, and in this case what happened? During the movement of the tRNA, the mRNA is shifted by the 3 base pairs, that is codon. Movement of the mRNA is mediated by base pairing between the moving A site tRNA to the mRNA. So in contrast to the A site tRNA movement of the P site tRNA into the E site disrupts the base pairing of the tRNA with the mRNA. Hence, the new uncharged tRNA in the E site is free to dissociate from the ribosome and to become recharged with a fresh amino acid by amino acid tRNA synthetase. So the question arises, how does EFG GDP interact with the A site of the decoding center so effectively? So the crystal structures of the EFTU bound to the tRNA and EFG reveal a clear answer to this question, and in this case the EFG GDP and EFTU GDP tRNA have a similar structure. Then comes a cycle of the peptide bond formation consumes the 2 molecules of the GTP and the 1 molecule of the ATP. And in this case, the translation elongation mechanism has been completed. Then comes to the termination of the translation, where the release factors are essential, known as the RFs, which activate the hydrolysis of the polypeptide from the peptidyl tRNA. And there are two classes, one is class 1 and another is class 2, RF1 and RF2. The class 1 release factors recognize the stop codons, that is stop codons ki ache, UAA, UAG, UGA, and trigger the hydrolysis of the peptide chain from the tRNA into the P site. Prokaryotes have the two class 1 factors, RF1, RF2. RF1 recognizes the stop codon UAG, RF2 recognizes the stop codon UGA. Third stop codon, that is UAA, is recognized both by RF1 and RF2. It is important. So the class 1 release factor called ERF1 in case of the eukaryotes recognize all 3 stop codons, that is UAA, UAG and UGA. It is important for your knowledge. Then the ribosome recycling factor mimics tRNA. What does it mean? Then in prokaryotic cells, a factor known as or referred to as the ribosome recycling RRF, it cooperates with the EFG and IF3 to recycle ribosome after polypeptide release. This RRF binds to the empty A site of the ribosome where it mimics the tRNA. This RRF also recruits the EFG to the ribosome, and in events it mimics the EFG function during elongation. The EFG stimulates the release of the uncharged tRNA bound to the P site and the E sites. Although exactly how this release occurs, it's not clear till now. It is thought that RRF is displaced from the A site by the EFG in a manner similar to the displacement of the tRNA from the A site during the elongation. So once the tRNAs are removed, EFG and RRF are released from the ribosome along with the mRNA. Then comes to the IF3, that is initiation factor 3. It may also participate in the release of the mRNA and is required to separate the two ribosomal subunits from each other. So the final outcome of these events in a small subunit bound to the IF3 and a free large subunit. So the released ribosome can now participate in a new round of the translation. This is the basic mechanism how the initiation, elongation and termination of the translation mechanism occurring in the prokaryotes, mainly in the prokaryotes, and what is basically the ribosomal cycle and what is the importance of the ribosome. Basically it's a smaller subunit. How does it accompany the F-mate tRNA IF-mate within its site, that is A site, P site and E site, and what is its basic role for the circulation mechanism? It is important. Thank you.